How you doing? I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Today I wanted to talk about the tradition of alcohol drinking which stretches back thousands of years, right? And I'm talking about it not from the perspective that because we've done it for thousands of years that it's good, because it's not. And that's the way we tend to look at these things. Because our cultures have been drinking alcohol and using alcohol for thousands of years, doesn't make it any better, doesn't make it a good thing to do, just makes it the normal thing to do. It just makes it that we have been doing it for so long, It's like when you see a company that's been around for, we've been around for 200 years, it's like, well, who gives a shit, if you're still serving a good product that I want to buy today, then, good. If you're selling a computer that was sold 20 years ago, if you're selling a computer that was sold 2 years ago, then it's not much good in today's market, Some person is going to buy it, but, at the end of the day, it all depends on that perspective. Take a look at it from a different perspective, from the perspective of traditions that countries have. We have certain traditions in our countries, in the Western world, in the UK, in Ireland, Spain, the US, Canada, etc., that are looked on with disgust by some countries in the East. Some of the things that they do, their traditions, are looked on with disgust by us in the West. But who's right? You can't say, well, we're right because we're who we are and we live in the West and we're right about everything. You can say that, but it's not true. Nor can they say it, just because they are whatever they are and the reasons why they're saying what they're saying doesn't make it true, right? Thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago, people drank alcohol for completely different reasons. The reason to get out of your brain, even 100 years ago, in some parts of the West, were completely different to what they are now. People had very poorer standards of living than they have now. People used alcohol as a way of purifying the water, so they drink a very light beer type alcoholic beverage, but it was so light that you wouldn't get drunk on it, 1% or whatever it was, and there was no way of getting drunk on that stuff. There's people who drink nowadays because they want to escape the situation and the surroundings that they're in, and alcohol is the only way to do that, and it's not the best way of doing it. That's what I'm trying to teach all the time with my videos and the courses and stuff, is that alcohol is never the best way of doing it. Even if you're in the pits of a ghetto, there's ways of getting yourself out of it. Whereas if you start down that road of taking drugs and alcohol, you're never going to get out of it. You're locking yourself into that mentality. You're locking yourself into that lifestyle and that world for the rest of your life. Unless you decide to do something about it. But you understand what I mean? It's tradition is a funny way that we look at things. That because we've been doing it for so long that it gives it this kudos sort of a thing. It gives it this prestige, and it's bullshit. It's just another way that we're brainwashed into thinking about this kind of stuff with our. As far as I'm concerned, you have to sort of take yourself out of your own life and your own personal wants and needs and what you think in that moment about alcohol, and start looking at your life from 40,000 feet from a higher perspective, right? From up here. Look down at it as a whole, there's an old saying that you can't see the trees for the forest, right? You just see the individual tree, or the individual trees, and you don't see the whole, or the opposite way around. You don't see the forest for the trees. And we have to look at just what the damage is being caused by alcohol, from a personal level. But you can see it in, as I said, I've said this many times, that alcohol kills 3.5 million people every single year. Over 200 health conditions are caused by drinking alcohol. When you look at it like that, it's a no-brainer that it's wrong to do it. but we hang on to the very flimsy threads of hope that the alcohol companies are putting out daily, with their research and development, trying to tell us that alcohol is beneficial to us in small doses. And they now find well that alcohol is a drug, so just that whole thing is bullshit, How can you take a drug in small doses, right? It's one of those drugs that it gets a hold of you, it's tolerance, you have levels of tolerance in it, you have levels of, I've talked about this many times before, and it's same old story. I'm just saying that tradition is one of those things that we have to sort of back away from it and say, well, just because people have been doing it for thousands of years doesn't make it right. My hope is not that alcohol is ever banned, right? I'm not interested in banning alcohol, not interested in banning any drugs, We've had prohibition, we've had all that bullshit, and it hasn't done anything. I'm interested in people using their own intelligence, and thinking about these things and thinking about what they're putting inside their bodies, not just from alcohol, but from every other aspect of your life, from the nutrition and the shite food that we, as a nation, as a society, dish up to our populations, that we think is good to eat. We think about food as being entertainment first and nutrition second. Not good. Not a good way to look at things. And, you can walk along blinded to these things, We walk, like when I look at my life before I stopped drinking alcohol, it feels like I was in a sleep. I was in a walking sleep for the most part of my life, and that I've only just woken up to realities. And as I said before, drinking alcohol cloaked many more problems that I had in my life that were uncovered because I stopped drinking. If I hadn't have stopped drinking, I'd still have all those other problems, and I'd be well on my way to an early grave, definitely. I was definitely living a subpar life, and a life which just wasn't quality anymore, and now that I've stopped drinking, I've got that quality life back. But it was only because I opened my eyes to these things, and I stopped fucking walking around with my eyes closed and my ears closed, see no evil, hear no evil, think no evil, speak no evil. Fuck that, So don't take any notice of these traditions, just because something has been done for thousands of years, it doesn't make it right. Just because something is normal in our society doesn't make it right. Think for yourself, use your own intelligence, We're all born with this intelligence, you just have to use it to think about things, Take aspects of your life as individual things and break them apart and say, well, is this really something that I should be doing to myself or having in my life, What's it stopping me from doing? What do I really want to do in my life, They're the things that you should be asking. Till next time, I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Stay safe, keep the alcohol out your mouth, onwards and upwards. Take care. Good luck to you.